This podcast is brought to you by Primary Arms. Primary Arms seeks to provide the best shopping experience for everything firearms. With over 13,000 products from over 400 top brands, Primary Arms carries a complete selection of rifles, handguns, firearms parts, shooting gear, apparel, and more. Every order comes with a commitment to superior service, backed by fast shipping and an expert support team. Primary Arms, serving freedom since 2008. Find out more at frn.deals/PA. Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first rifle or if you've been building them for years. There is something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Garth Over.
Hey, buddy, what's up?
Oh, what are we doing today?
It feels weird. I wasn't rushed to get here, so I actually got to, hang out with you a little bit before the show started. That was nice. That was very nice. I'm gonna make this a thing. Yeah, it was fun. Got to catch up, even though I've seen you for like the last 8 days in a row.
Yeah, what's going on, man? Like, I haven't seen you since yesterday.
Yeah. No. Actually, I'm having a lot of fun right now. I'm just going to jump into what we did this week. Have I done anything fun, Nick? Yes, I have. You know all about my fun because you helped me have all of it. I am so excited, guys. I finally got my PSA Jackal rifle in. And, Nick can attest to this. This thing is a awesome rifle. I just actually mounted my Swamp Fox Saber 5 times on it, and it kicks. For the guys who are watching live with us, man, this gun is phenomenal. Yeah, it's got the stock of the Scar. I dig it. It's fantastic. It's cool. Can't wait to get it out to the range and shoot it later this week if I have some time after work. Just really can't say enough good things about the PSA line. When we had that pistol we were testing out for those guys, the amount of no recoil was fantastic, and so I can only assume that the rifle is going to be just as good. So I am super uber duper excited to go out and put rounds downrange with this and turn this into my battle rifle. Although the one thing I didn't realize was the muzzle brake is pinned because it's a 14.5 inch. I just really didn't take into account when I ordered it. I was like, ooh, that looks cool. Order me that one. And but the cool thing is Nick told me all about the muzzle brake on it is designed for a Huxworks
Yes, a Huxworks suppressor. Some good friends of ours that we actually got to know at GunCon.
Yes.
And we will be talking to again in the very near future. But they are having, that is awesome that they had that partnership, because that will work with their flow-through designs. So even though that's a piston gun, like, there'll be even less blowback. And like all the goodiness.
Oh, I'm super stoked. So I guess that's the next big thing I have to start looking for is maybe which suppressor I'm gonna have to purchase from those guys. I mean, it's great marketing, honestly.
Well, maybe that could be the capstone event to your 12 months of guns.
It better be, because August has drained me dry. Okay. We're 8 months into this thing, and I bought 7 guns in August. I'm not holding up my end of the deal. One gun a month.
Maybe you're just like, you're doing extra right now.
Well, it's like extra credit, you never know. You might need it later.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
But,
So yeah, Beyond that, also, I'm going to say the other great find that happened, and it's part of the Gun of the Month Club, which is extra credit. Nick happened to be at one of our local gun shops yesterday, browsing and carousing and looking for primers, and he was unsuccessful, but he did find what I would label the steal of the year. He found a Mossberg JM Pro 930 18.5-inch shotgun. And for whatever reason, the store has this amazing 10% discount right now going on. And so I picked up this beautiful black shotgun for out the door price, $344. And I will brag all day long about that because I've looked continuously online all day just to see how good a deal I got. And anywhere from $750 all the way down to $410. And that was before sales tax and shipping and everything like that. So $344 out the door all day long. And I already have the 26-inch barrel of the 930, and now I have the 18-inch, and I'm not going to be going out. I mean, I'll shoot birds with it because you know me, I like to shoot short shotguns, but this is a home defense shotgun all day long. So
yes, or you know, like it might be one of the better 3-gun for some of the events where you can only load 8 rounds in a tube for like ready.
That is very true. First, I'd have to shoot 3-gun. I only shoot PCC. We'll talk about that later because I do want to send some invites out to some people hanging out, listening to us. But, I mean, I'd have to shoot 3-gun. But, I mean, in theory, yes, it would be a great 3-gun shotgun to have. So.
Yes, it would. I managed to hit the range like I think almost every day this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, actually, I think I was at the range. Well, 3 of the last 3 days, other than today, at least for something or other. And
nice.
So Thomas Allison asked, "Does that shoot short shells and interchangeability?" It'll run the JM series will run 2 3/4 and 3-inch, I believe. I don't think that has the 3.5-inch chamber.
No, it does not.
But if you're talking about the 1 3/4-inch shells, that I don't know because I've never played with the minis.
I have about 200 rounds of them. I could try them and just see how they'd function. I'm not 100% sure. I just normally stick to those in the underovers and stuff like that, single shots. And
so there you go. We can load some into it, and Garth can report back.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, I guess.
Yeah. So I know that the minis generally do not like semi-automatics.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So moving on from those, I too got in a fair bit of shooting. I know that Saturday, both of us wound up having some issues that ended up breeding today's show title, which we will get into eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But I was actually super excited because this weekend was the first time that my daughter joined us at doing our USPSA /2-gun competitions, and she ran the rifle that she built with a 22 conversion in it, and shot the stages with that. And she was obviously running a little bit slower than we were, but she's also 11, so
yeah.
So she's now said like, "Oh, I got to go with you every time," and is kind of got that addiction going in her. So that is the joyful thing of I will be spending all of my money on that forever now. So no change.
No change. Absolutely not. I mean, realistically, you're just adding a class currently because she'll be shooting 22. You don't shoot 22, so there you go. Look at that.
Well, and it's like, oh, we're doing this, and it's I gotta get a little bit more gear, and then it's no, I have to buy more ammunition or build more, but then I have extra small hands that can run presses.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, if you teach your daughter to be this master shot at 11 years old, by the time she's 15, she's, TikTok or Instagram famous, and she's going to SHOT Show, and we're hanging out with her as her entourage because she's so famous because, she blew up on the internet.
We'll see how that works. But no, yes, child labor, exactly. She can run a Dillon. But no, so we did that. I also had the opportunity to go out, and I was actually one of the big things that I did. I tested some ammunition that was not like a newly released ammo or anything like that. But I bought a case of it and went, all right, you know what? I had read a bunch of the data and looked at things, and I'd always known it was true, and I used to hand load some heavier bullets for the 223 or 5.56. And I went, all right, so I bought a case of 500 Hornady Frontier 68 grain boat tail hollow point match bullets. And I went, all right, well, I just did a zero confirmation at 25 meters in my SPR, and then I grabbed my 11.5-inch gun because I have been told that heavy bullets out of short barrels do nasty things to soft tissue. And I went, hey, we should look at this. And I shot a 15-round group at 25 yards that was the size of my thumbnail. And I went, all right, that'll work. Moving on. And then I immediately went over to the 300-yard range and was second round impact on 4-inch targets at 300 yards.
That's pretty solid.
And went, all right, so the rifle and ammo do its job. And I can do mine. So SPR is go. Now I just need to do a little bit like more of a proper zero instead of a 25-meter rush job. It is what I would like to call combat effective, but it is not a true DMR rifle in its current. And we're gonna fix that. But so I'm excited to be doing a little bit more long-rangedness stuff with that, because that will be my coyote rifle this fall and winter, and get a little bit longer shots in with that. Then with the 11.5-inch gun, like it loved them too. Everything shot great, and I was just like, all right. So yeah, we've got that going for us, and then we zeroed the peck to it. And anyways, I started blasting, but it was about the time that I'd worked through that. I went, all right, and I grabbed my one of my 308 ARs. I have a couple of them. I have one that is glorious. Like, it is a divining rod of accuracy that is the stuff of myth and legend.
Yeah.
And then I have another one that is, well, it's that other one. And it's kind of like how, parents don't have a favorite. Yeah, it's like, it's definitely not that one. But that rifle has been a exercise in issues since I bought it. It had a barrel that had the gas port drilled in the wrong place. It's had a bunch of just issues like that going through it. And then I finally went, all right, I had everything fixed, and I took it out with our friend Craig. And when I did that, it blocked out and wouldn't cycle rounds. So as I started cycling rounds, I was like, I couldn't figure out. I was like, all right, well, we're just going to come back to this later.
Hey, Nick, you might have to revamp that a little bit. Your internet kind of went choppy for a little bit. Some people might have missed what you were saying there.
Oh, the recording will be on this end.
Okay.
So, but I was saying I had issues with the rifle and it wouldn't cycle properly. So I said, all right, that'll be a different day's problem. And I brought it back and went through, and all of a sudden it started cycling right. And I was like, wonder why it didn't work before. And then I shot and went, well, that was an odd noise. Because I had never heard a noise like that before.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to pull the trigger, and nothing happened. And I looked down, and I was like, well, why is the bolt locked to the rear? And I tilted the gun up, and the bolt slid forward. And I was like, what is going on? So, and Thomas, it is not a Bear Creek. It's actually a Ballistic Advantage barrel that was drilled in the spec. I have no problem diming people out when they're bad. And I did not send it back because I am not that guy. No. What I did was go through and do the measurements and then go to carving up, $150 gas systems to make
it. Sure. That makes way better sense.
What, that I would, I'm not going to send it back. No. I say nay. I will just adapt and make parts. But, no, I had the buffer spring collapsed onto itself around the buffer and locked it all the way to the rear. So when I got back to the house, I had to take a, pull the stock off, and I had a hole. There's a hole drilled in the end of the buffer tube already. But I had to take I had a T-handle Allen wrench that went through it, so I didn't have to drill it out anymore. And two hard smacks.
Yeah.
And everything went forward. And then I was like, all right, well, let me try and run it again. And it was having none of that. It was not going to recoil again correctly, ever. So I pulled it out and stuck a spare spring I had on hand in place of it. And I instantly went, well, maybe it was because I was running it with a can and it was overgassed, or this or that. And I'm looking to see if I can see that spring sitting behind me. And I thought I'd saved it, but it straight up just collapsed on itself, and there was a crease point in the spring. That was just it was a bad spring.
Now, you say you just grabbed a extra spring. Did you actually have an extra spring with you, or was this like I stole it from a different gun?
Well, this was in my basement.
Okay. I thought you. I was gonna say, you said range. I was like, oh man, sure, that seems about like you.
When I got back to the house, I went, all right, we're gonna fix this, and fix it. I did.
Oh, that makes more sense. Although it wouldn't put past you to, just carry an extra spring to the range because you think of things like that.
Well, I'm not gonna lie and say that it won't happen now.
Nah, yeah,
Like, I already
fair.
do carry an extra bolt carrier group, and now I will just have an extra buffer spring and probably an extra buffer loop as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad things to have. I mean, being prepared is kind of the thing you need to do when you go to the range. I had some malfunctions as well when I went to the range this last weekend. One of which you fixed. I could have done it myself. I probably had the tools, but I was just so fed up and frustrated. I took 4 guns out to the range that day and did a little sighting in because I like to scope swap every 6 months, even if I don't fire those weapons. So went out there and was going to sight in that firefighter rifle I finally had constructed and built, and lined up my shot in the first one. Sent it down range, hit paper. I was like, okay, I can work with that. And I went to pull the trigger again, and sadly, it didn't want to function because I had a steel case 223. I believe Tula was the ammunition wedged deep into the barrel, and it wasn't coming out for anything. And thankfully, you had the proper rod to ram that thing out of there, but I couldn't find anything in the farm, and I didn't want to, really screw up the gun that bad by sticking something that shouldn't have been in that barrel down it. So a little frustration, things like that. If you're never prepared to bring what you need to the range to fix malfunctions and stuff, it really does ruin a range trip, especially for myself when I'm 20 miles from my gun room that I'm in right now and have one minor setback like that happen. It was a real bummer, honestly. So I haven't got that gun sighted in yet. Or the other one was I was out with one of the blades on that shocker trigger that I have. Was going to set that up for the pickup and could not find zero. It was one of those days where you think you're going to hit paper, and man, a broadside of a barn would have been safe that day. Just rough.
I have been there before myself, and it is just hard when that happens.
But thankfully, I remembered the trick you told me, and also did a 25-yard zero that day. And I don't know, I had to go like 200, 300 clicks up. So I don't know if it came that way. I can't remember if that was the one I pulled off my PCC or if that was the new scope I hadn't put on anything yet. But man, someone was having some fun with me. That's for dang sure. So finally got that on a 25-yard zero, and then managed it up to 50. And while I'm not going to be shooting thumbnail groups with that rifle, I was taking it out to 200 yards by the end of the day, and so I can't say anything more than that. That's the purpose of that firearm.
So, as we're sitting here talking about like what is your malfunction, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about malfunctions tonight. And
Weird.
yep, and like Garth, you talked about that where it's like you can have some with an optic. For listeners out there, and gentle advice for anyone going forward. This is something that my good buddy Tucker actually did and talked about that I have picked up and really enjoy. Or, well, I shouldn't say enjoy. It is amazing to do. And it is, as soon as you get an optic, run the turret all the way down, then all the way up, and then put it back in center. And then do the same for left and right windage. Because it was actually a Leupold Mark V, so not a cheap optic. He had it was one of those in the owner's manual. It said to do that in case there was like a burr from machining that would get stuck. So it's like, okay, you run it up and down a couple times and then that fixes it.
Yeah.
And that really helped clear up a bunch of issues that I had. when it came to zeroing an optic. And it's one of those where you go, all right, back to running it all the way up, all the way down, put it back in the middle. And it's all right. Now we can start shooting. And a lot of times I'll do that when I first start with a optic. I'll do it kind of out of the box. Because you get that box and it's shiny. I'll play with stuff, and then run everything. Because it allows my ADD to kick in, and then I get to play with it, and
sure.
And that's just kind of the nature of that beast. But it has been a great way to mitigate some of those issues. Because everything's freed up and moving, and then when you mount it, all right, and then you start to sight it in and do all the knobby, twisty bits.
No, that's actually a solid plan. I'll consider that in the future. Hopefully, I don't have. Well, I don't know, because me, I like the smaller power optics. So I'm looking at grabbing a dime then with most of the sights I use to turn those turrets. So. But yep. I'll check it out.
Yeah, and it's just one of those, it might be an option.
Yeah.
Yep. And, but what would you say the most common malfunction you see is?
At the range? With myself or just in general?
Yes.
Okay. Honestly, the last several times that you and I have been to the range and shooting with friends, primer strikes, honestly. Just from bad springs and not getting the full push forward, on your bolt. And so you have weak strikes, and that leads to, non-functioning firearms. And so that just relates back to me with cleaning your weapons on a regular basis, because if you're not taking care of your guns, then in a time of need when you actually need to fire them or function them, they're just not going to work. And that seems to be like you said, you just had it this last weekend. The last several times you and I went out with Craig, I think it's been a common occurrence with light primer strikes, and I guess, and that's as far as pistols go. With rifles, we really haven't had a lot lately, but again, it's back to maintenance, because getting a shell stuck in your barrel is, that's just poor care on my part. And if things aren't clean, things get dirty, and when they get dirty, they stick in there when they shouldn't do that. I'm not going to elaborate on that.
The comments section is making a lot of "that's what she said" jokes.
Oh, I see a lot of "that's what she said" jokes, and that's why I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Yes, because Craig is not here with us to master the "that's what she said."
Oh, he loves those jokes.
No, and and one of the other most common that I see. And obviously, when I look at it as the absolute most common malfunction I generally see on a rifle is the old double feed.
Yeah. Get a lot of that during competition.
And you'll notice we don't have that problem anymore.
No. Not too much. Well, yes and no.
Not with an AR.
True.
And there's a reason why you don't see it nearly as much with an AR anymore.
Okay.
The Magpul PMag.
Well, you say that, and now that I think back to the competition yesterday, I had 2 double feeds, so I totally spaced that happened yesterday. But that was also a new magazine with a dirty gun, so I'm gonna chalk that up to things not being broken and things being so dang dirty they weren't gonna function. So
Well, I'm going to chalk it up to also your continued use of steel ammo.
That too. I was cheap for a lot of years, and I bought a lot of steel case ammo, and now I'm paying the price for it in a major
Yeah.
way.
But it's you start to see less and less of the double feed, like
Hmm.
the true double feed where you have to rip the mag out of the gun.
Yep.
And I didn't see that in your AR yesterday.
But yeah, that was right off the line. That's why I had to give you your mag back and took the 60 round drum from Devin.
Oh, yeah. It's when you're running that. It's that also wasn't a PMag.
No, it was a Lancer.
Yep. And like I said, the Magpul PMag kind of revolutionized everything, and that's why it's the standard.
Hmm.
I can tell you that it used to be incredibly common to see it on a military range. And the reason why you would see it so often is the mags had a bad follower, or just, the followers would be out of spec a little bit. And I apparently lost Garth. But okay, he's back.
Sorry, I went to go click on the comment button and I hit the leave button. They're right next to each other. That's my bad.
But as I was saying, you used to see a ton of it on the military ranges. Like, it was a common issue. That was not locking up. That was my brain taking a moment to think how to phrase something. And as it went through, like, when I started running PMags or bringing my own, it was like, well, why are you doing that? Well, I don't have issue. I don't have, like, I'm not double feeding, guys. And
Hmm.
that fixed so many issues by using good magazines.
Yeah, yeah. I agree there. I used to be one of the guys who would buy the cheap magazines, and I paid dearly for it. And now I will only buy if I run Glock, I run Glock magazines. If I run Sig, I run Sig magazines. PMag is the brand I own most exclusively for all of my ARs I shoot, and I've never really had an issue with them. Actually, I will say this: I at the range shooting yesterday, or not yesterday, the day before, when I was setting stuff in, I had one of those old steel 20 round magazines, and the springs were just getting loose enough in them now that they won't push the bullet up into the into the
Right
action
position.
anymore. Yeah, right position. So that is, I think, the first magazine failure I've had in my 12 years of shooting. And if it took, and that was probably one of the first magazines I ever owned. So if it took 12 years for that to happen, I think that's a pretty solid deal for a $5 or $10, you know, 20 round mag.
Yep. And like,
So,
that's where you saw a lot of it. I was gonna say that's the most common issue I've seen. And what actually causes that isn't always just the follower. The anti-tilt follower helped a lot by making sure that everything was in the right position at the right time.
mhm.
But it was actually the feed lips, because the polymer, like Magpul's polymer, is like just the right amount of voodoo
Mhm.
to not pop open. So a gun with metal feed lips, if you hit it on something, will at will actually spread itself open and shoot out. Um, one of the worst ones I ever saw for it, like an example of it, I kept the magazine. I still have it. And it was one of those, because I used it as a demonstration. It was a 308 mag, but
Mhm.
it was by Hex Mag. They did a very short run of Gen 1 AR-10 mags, like SR-25 DPMS platform.
Yep. Yep.
And when I loaded it, like, full to capacity, I loaded the mags before I went to the range. And when I got to the range, I couldn't put the mag in my gun because it had spread so far apart that it wouldn't fit in the mag well of my rifle anymore.
That is one of the worst things ever. I've done that so many times at competitions. I've watched so many magazines drop out of my, you know, go to fire up, hit your safe, go to pull that trigger, and your magazine drops right out of the gun. It's one of the most embarrassing things I think it can happen to you in a competition.
Well, this wasn't even a comp. This was like I had to squeeze it together to put it in, and
Yep.
then when it latched, I charged it, and all of the rounds went up into the gun. Like it got the beans over the Frank. It was just all around bad. And so we had that. But like you're talking now, one of the other common ones, and this is a thing that has spiked a lot of controversy.
Okay.
And like John Lovell, Warrior Poet Society, has a actually, Thomas, I believe that would have been bullet bukkake. And if you know what that means, you can't be mad. But anyways, John Lovell, Warrior Poet Society, they he has talked for a long time about 30-round PMags and that you should not load 30 rounds in them. That you should, in fact, load 28 or 29 rounds in them.
Yes.
And the reason for that is when you insert a magazine, then it will stay inserted and will not, fall out. As you were talking, where you do the aforementioned load it, bang, and then it all falls out because, well, you didn't hit the mag release because you gingerly put it in there and or it really was, or something may have been a little out of spec or something like that, because mil spec does not mean best spec. Mil spec means military specification and minimum specification this has to meet. But so that is why they developed the push-pull method for mags, where you slap the bottom of the mag to get it in and you insert it with authority and then pull down on it to see if it's in there or not. So you don't have that, ha, bang, ha.
All right, reset. Thank you.
Look at this. I turned my gun into a club. Magic. That's the wrong kind of magic I want to see with a rifle.
Yeah.
But so that is one of the more common things. I have once seen a gas tube failure from a dirty gas tube. So the gas system just completely kind of shit the bed because of that gas tube.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it's happened. I just don't think I've ever witnessed one, because that's a lot of rounds going down range for something to get that clogged up.
There's two ways for it to happen. One, it's actually, so the gas tube is actually the fail safe in the AR-15. In some foreshadowing for something coming in September, be ready for our joint event with Talking Lead, where we will do another episode of AR versus AK. But we have before, and it has been brought up in those episodes before, where we dove deep into the operating system of both rifles. Well, we proceeded to have dick and fart jokes and argue about who's better. And obviously we won. But
clearly,
when the rifle starts to get too hot and like overheat, the point of failure is the gas tube. that piece will actually fail before it damages the rest of the rifle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like your fun bit of trivia. Kind of like the fun bit of trivia that my favorite part of the rifle is the VZ grip. And the unique features of VZ grips is that they're machined from a solid block of G10. And G10 is great because it's durable and doesn't get slippery when covered with mud, blood, or sweat. The 17-degree grip angle and a wide variety of textures from mild to extreme, as well as color options available. 1911 grips, extreme customizability, standard slim palm swells, thumb notches, safety cuts, bottom profiles, and more. More than 25 textures and 27 colors available. The coupon code is good for all gun and rifle grips, and that's 15% off. And that is AR-15 Podcast. I say again, AR-15 Podcast at vzgrips.com. And yes, Thomas, you are correct. Suppressor use can increase how fast that will happen.
Yeah.
With
the one I had thought of, Nick, and I remember this happening to you, maybe 2 years ago at one of our matches. Barrels can be an issue with malfunctions, more so squib loads.
Oh, yeah. Ammunition defuncts. That's a squib load is a thing that can happen. And that's the reason why I always carry a pistol rod with me, because I have bought factory ammunition that squibbed on me. And
Mm-hmm.
I use the term factory very loosely.
Yeah. Well, I never buy bad factory ammo. I just use the wrong factory ammo in the right or the wrong gun. I've done it 3 times now, and I'll admit it.
Yep.
Because
Well,
I once ran some 17. Well, okay, the SHOT Show one, that's kind of their bad too.
Yeah, like don't put 10 millimeter and 45 intermixed on a table without anyone supervising us, because like as we all know, apes strong together doesn't mean we're smart together.
Correct. Yeah, but I mean, sticking the 17 HMR, those short shells, through a regular 17 HMR pistol, not good. It took me like 20 shell casings cracking before I went, you know what? Maybe this stuff isn't for this gun.
Oh, were you using like 17 Mach 2 in an
Yep.
HMR?
Yep.
Yep. So you were using the stuff made out of the 22 long rifle, not the 22 Magnum.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out why I was having, issues. Well, I also didn't realize why it was so cheap too, because I bought that stuff dirt cheap. That's why I bought 1,000 rounds of it, and then I went, oh crap, I have no purpose for this. Once I found out.
Oh. Yeah, see, I was always intrigued by that Mach 2, but never got into it. Anyway.
Well, yeah. Neither here nor there.
No, so ammunition, like I had, when we talk about steel, one of the more interesting ones I've had, again, this was during this wasn't during COVID times, but it would have been after, maybe after the Great Sandy Hook scare on ammunition.
So 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Better.
I went through and went, I was like, all right, well, I need to get a bunch of, I need to get some more 223 5.56 stuff in. And I had ordered 1,000 rounds of Wolf. And all right, that stuff was pretty good. Like the Wolf ammo, yep, steel case, not the best, but it ran in the the guns I had. And then I bought some stuff from like LAX ammo. Like I'm not even sure this company exists anymore. And guys, this stuff was so cheaply made when they imported it from Russia that it didn't even have a copper wash on the bullet. So like a lot of that ammo, it's not copper plated, it's a copper wash. No, this had a zinc coated bullet.
Wow.
So it was lead and zinc. So the bullets were silver. Like quite literally, I used to keep one in my in the molly on my vest to write with like a pencil because it worked amazing for writing because it was zinc and lead, so it was almost like the graphite in in a number 2 pencil.
Nice.
But that stuff, I literally had like I was shooting it and I had bullets falling out of the steel cases inside the magazine from recoil.
No, I'm not going to sit here and dog steel ammunition. I do think there's a time and place for steel ammunition because it is cheaply priced, and if that's all you can afford, that's
Yes,
all you can afford.
it's communism.
But it just requires you to clean your guns that much more. And I will admit that suppressors do hate steel case ammunition just because of the amount of dirt and grime that it's going to attract with every shot.
Well, it does. And actually, we had a wonderful email today that we got this morning from one of our listeners. And give me a moment here while I pull it up. So James was emailing us and sent in some pictures and whatnot of. I will pull this up and share it so that the people watching all of the watching this wonderful things happening.
For the tens and tens watching at home,
You can see he has a little bit of pitting on his bolt face here. Right around the primer pocket. And he was talking to me about it, and he said this came out of a 10.5-inch gun that was fed a steady diet of steel case. And one of the things that steel case is renowned for is what happened there is most likely the so steel case generally has harder primers, or any of the Soviet bloc countries that produce ammo will have a harder primer, meaning it needs a harder strike on the primer to detonate it. And also, they used to make corrosive primers. Like all of their primers were actually very corrosive. So
really?
when you shot them, you would have it would introduce corrosive chemicals into the gas and explosion. So it would accelerate, because, well, it's a corrosive chemical, but that would be going through. Now, as those hard primers hit, because of how metal works and whether it's malleability and whatnot, when you break them open, they have a lot higher propensity to chip and crack. So with that steel primer, or that steel case ammo on that bolt, you can see where it was just hammering bits of metal between two pieces of steel, and it got a little bit of bolt face deformation and pitting. Now, that was nothing to worry about, and it's not bad, and it's not like, oh man, I can't believe you did that. Like I have snap. The reason I carry an extra bolt carrier group is because it's way faster to swap a bolt carrier group than it is to just swap a bolt. Like the actual bolt face. And and see, even Jen Champ here says steel's definitely rougher, and a lot of the older stuff can be corrosive. Yes. But I completely forgot what I was just saying. Anyway, man, turn 40 and everything starts going downhill. I tell you what.
Just gone.
No,
That's
but running
funny.
that stuff through, you can run it, and like it doesn't always mean it's terrible ammunition. It's just like that little bit of deformation. Oh, I was talking about bolts and it being faster to change just the whole carrier than to change a bolt.
There you go.
And as I do that, like I drop that out, and then at home I might have some extra parts laying around that I can throw in because, as you have said before, you never know what I'm going to pull out when it comes to parts.
Well, I mean, you do carry a range trailer when we go to the range, so it's kind of comical what might come out of there some days.
Well, that's just the trailer. That's not counting like the various magic boxes.
Well, exactly. So
I really do think I have a magic box in there because I don't know how I fit that much stuff.
correct. Things just appear. It's like you're the Mary Poppins of guns.
I will take that.
Yeah, we'll put that on a shirt.
Yep, be the Mary Poppins of guns. Which I think that's like the that's like the millennial way of doing Clint Smith's "I'm like a battleship, just dropping guns on the table."
Totally, I like it.
Yes, and correct. The moral of the story is if you shoot corrosive stuff, clean the weapons very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And Thomas, we can get you a magic box, and I promise it won't have a high point from Savage. But
Fair.
That's an inside joke. No, it's yes, you can circumvent a lot of these issues that we were having with some of the malfunctions we have talked about with regular maintenance.
Yep, it's true.
And I do really love, like, I enjoy doing maintenance. But you know who doesn't enjoy doing maintenance?
Who's that?
The people at our power grid, because national security experts are warning that our aging power grid is more vulnerable than ever. January marked the third time a power station in North Carolina was damaged by a gunfire attack. Authorities are saying this attack raises a new level of threat. They're now checking our grid for vulnerabilities, and they've identified 9 key substations. If these substations are attacked, power could be knocked out from coast to coast for up to 18 months. Imagine a blackout lasting not days, but weeks or months. Your life would be frozen in time right at the moment the power fails. Lights all over the country would go out, throwing people into total darkness. And that's why having your own solar power is more important than ever. With the new Patriot Power Generator 2000X, you get a solar generator that doesn't install in your house because it's portable. You can take it with you, even use it inside. But it's powerful enough for your phones, medical devices, or even your fridge. And right now, you can go to 4patriots.com and use code FRN to get 10% off your first purchase on anything in the store, including the Patriot Power Generator. You also get their famous guarantee for an entire year, plus free shipping on all orders over $97. Again, go to 4patriots.com. That's the number 4patriots.com and use code FRN to get 10% off. That's 4patriots.com and use code FRN to get yours today.
Very cool.
Yep. And
have you ordered anything? Have you? I know you've been looking at those for a while now. Have you pulled the trigger on one of those coolers?
I have not pulled the trigger on the cooler. We have actually I have some guys I work with that ordered the actual power generator.
Oh, very cool. Nice.
And they got it. One of them, they're married, and one of them is on a CPAP, and they're using it as a battery backup for the CPAP and love it.
Nice.
So
solid.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I haven't ordered one of the coolers. It's on the to-do list, but So is a couple other things.
You're preaching to the choir. I know. I know. There's many things I want, and few things I actually go buy. I just buy random shotguns and stuff like that instead.
Precisely.
Yeah.
No, but regular maintenance. Speaking of gun maintenance, we should have Otis on again.
We should. It's been a while since we've talked to our friends at Otis.
Yes, it has. And this is very true. Yes, Thomas, don't you have the holy high point of Antioch? And that's a real thing. And it makes its rounds. But
Nice.
The back to using quality ammunition, use the ammunition you can afford, and burning through like having training ammunition and having other ammunition is great. And I might actually be moving to that category, which is weird because I never really been that guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm still on the fence about it.
I can't say that because my carry gun, I have carry ammo, and I have used training ammo for years. And it's
that's just it. If it's good enough to train with, it's good enough to use in a situation, in my opinion.
I completely disagree.
Really? Fair.
Yeah, especially for handgun ammo, because 9mm holes, ball ammo, I have seen used, and no, that's the reason why
That's fine.
very distinctly I carry two very specific ammunitions, and it's I will say Hornady Critical Duty is my go-to because that is what law enforcement around me carries, and I don't carry it because it's what the cops carry, but I do carry it because in a theoretical legal battle, saying if it's good enough to use for their defense, why is it not good enough to use for my defense?
Fair. That's a fair statement.
But I digress. I've never done that with rifle ammo because rifle ammo is made to go fast and do hydrostatic shock. But bullets do weird things, man.
Yeah.
And we might even have some testing and stuff of that coming up soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'd be fun.
Yes.
We'll put a video out. So, yeah.
Garth,
no, man. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have anything else to add tonight?
Not about what we've talked about. Malfunctions happen, guys, and just roll the punches on how it comes at you. Be prepared when they do. But actually, Nick, there's a couple events coming up in our general area, and I'm just going to throw it out there to our listeners. I know, we're here in South Dakota. We might not have a whole lot of listeners from South Dakota, but I know that Minnesota, North Dakota, and Nebraska, and Wyoming, and Montana are close. Iowa, all those, border states, and there's a couple events happening here real soon that if you guys feel like driving to South Dakota, you could have the opportunity to hang out with Nick and I and just, shoot the shit, if you will. There's a great, there's a great cause going on next weekend, guys. I know it's a holiday weekend and everything like that, but if you are free and want to come hang out in Brookings, South Dakota, Nick and I will be over there for the DAV Poker Run. It's for a great cause. It's for the Disabled Veterans Charity Fund there, where they get disabled veterans down to the VA and help them with travel and everything like that. And so what we're raising money for is a solid deal. And that happens in Brookings next Saturday. I believe registration starts at 10. Kickstands are up at noon. It's a motorcycle poker run, but all vehicles are welcome. We'll post that information on our social media sites. And then coming up here in mid-September, Nick and I have our annual three-gun, two-gun match in Pierce, South Dakota. So if you guys want to come and actually do a little shooting with Nick and I, please jump on practicescore.com and you can look up South Central Handgunners. That is the name of our outlaw three-gun club, and we would love to have any of our, loyal listeners come and shoot some guns with us because I think that'd be a blast, literally. So
So when
if
we
you guys
say
are looking to do a little
when we
competition,
say three
yeah,
gun,
go
two
ahead.
gun, three gun is traditional three gun. It is outlaw, so it's run what you brung. You can run. Everyone is open class and can do kind of whatever, and or
Yep.
as far as stuff on your gun. So rifle, handgun, shotgun, and when Garth talked about the two gun class, a lot of three guns and other events will have a PCC class. And we said, okay, we'll do that, but we're going to have it a two gun. So it is a PCC and handgun course.
Mm-hmm.
So each stage, you will fire both the PCC and the handgun, so you get a little bit of that two gun action in.
Yep. So it's gonna be a good time. That is a Sunday morning of the 17th of September. So it's a $40 registration. You guys can find that online at practicescore.com. Type in South Central Handgunners and you'll be able to find us.
Yep, and
So yeah,
there's
come
there
out, come
there
shoot with us.
is
It'll be a great time.
there is one more like guy we have to thank.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't. I mean, because we've been giving away patches from them because it's Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co. Guys, if you want some awesome morale patches, if you want pop culture patches, if you want some tins, if you want some mouse pads, cleaning pads, whichever you prefer to use them for, I use them for mouse pads. I know Nick does the same. Go check out our friends at Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co.
That's right, and you can find us on I'm not going to say all the social medias because we're not really on all the social medias.
No.
Let us know. Do people Twitter? Do you do the Twitter?
Isn't it called X now? I don't know what. It's not Twitter.
Okay,
Is it
I
Twitter?
don't know. The artist formerly known as Twitter, the app
Yeah,
formerly known as Twitter. Is that what it is?
something like that. I don't, Musk bought it now. It's something else. I don't know.
So, anyways, do you do that? Do you want to hear content and opinions and stuff and things from us on that? And
Nope. Thanks for your honesty. See you next week.
but so we're not on that. We're also not on the talk of ticks, and we're not on that one. There is some stuff on MeWe, but no one uses that, and it's a dead platform. So there is the Facebook and the Instagrams, and on Facebook we are the AR-15 podcast, and on Instagram we are AR-15 podcast 2.0, and the point is a decimal or period, and the email address to shoot us an email is AR-15podcast 2.0 at gmail.com. Garth, you got anything to add or say to the folks before we sign off tonight?
No, I really don't have anything more to add. Hopefully, anyone out there who's listening and can make the journey to the Brookings or Pier to hang out, that'd be awesome. But if not, understand because everyone's got their own thing going on. So until next week, you guys. Well, I'll let Nick say it.
Well, you guys out there, stay safe. And just so you know, next week will probably not be a Monday show. It'll be a later in the week show. Not just due to the holiday, well, a little bit due to the holiday weekend, and there's some traveling stuff happening. So we will probably not be coming to you live next Monday. And might be changing some stuff up in general with our time.
Well, I thought of one more thing. In lieu of the great Bob Barker, have your pets spayed or neutered, please.
Yes. That was one of South Dakota's own, Bob Barker.
Yeah.
But you folks out there, you stay safe and stay armed.